Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hey, welcome, sports fans, to the best sports podcast on the planet, Sports Unfolded. I am your host, Eric, main man right over there. Ron, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Can't wait to get this going.
This is going to be an incredible show. Very special guest, Katie Carlicker of Kick It with Katie podcast will be joining us shortly as well. We're going to talk some soccer. We bring it all to you in Sports Unfolded. Very excited to have her on the show tonight. If you are joining us live, please utilize the chat and let us know if you have any questions or want to talk about any particular topics. Let us know. Again, you can follow us on all our social media platforms, and we are on WDJY 99.1 FM in Dallas, Georgia, every Saturday night between 1 and 3. So those fans out there as well, like and follow our show when you have time. It is time for the leadoff story, though, Ron, and you, being the big Boston Bruins fan that you are, I'm sure you're so excited that the Boston Bruins have lost back-to-back games against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Are we looking at another collapse like we saw last postseason where they were up 3-1 and lost in Game 7 to the Florida Panthers?
It certainly looks as that. It would be really bad because you can't change the coach. You can't change the coach. It's too late to change the coach. Too early, I should say, to change the coach. Because everything really is doing well except for their postseason performances, right?
Which is rare, because again, you go up 3-1, you see them have momentum, and then something happens. And is this you think more of a mental hurdle for the Boston Bruins? Like they see that 3-1 lead and just for some reason take it easy?
Well, it's a little of that, I think. I think some players did take, a couple of games off. And to me, it feels like Toronto stepping up. They didn't have Austin Matthews for those games.
Which is amazing.
Right.
And like you would think it would be much easier for the Bruins at that point.
You would think that. But they step up and they play hard. And if you're not playing hard, you're not going to win in the NHL. Now, that's the reason for the most part in Game 5. But Game 6 was a totally different story. Bruins dominated that game. The problem is they keep missing the net in moments where they're wide open, out in front. I don't know. If you're 5 feet in front of the net, you don't miss. But they're shooting it wide, high. They're trying to pick corners, trying to be pretty. Just shoot it.
Yeah. So listen, we talked about Jeremy Swayman being in net and kind of that lack of rotation, which I'm actually happy with. He's not the problem.
He's been fantastic.
I mean, the issue now is, can they perform offensively and make plays? Pasternak has to step up. We've heard Jim Montgomery say that. You kind of see they seem a little timid when they're on that side of the ice. They don't feel like they should take it. A lot of errant passes or things that could have gone much better in Game 6.
So let me do this. Make a quick comparison. Frederik Andersen for Carolina. 9.12, 2.25 goals against. He's 4-1 in the playoffs as they eliminate their opponent, right? Swayman, 947 save percentage, 1.60, and you can't close it out?
Yeah. And think about it.
Close it out. It's not his fault. He's doing his job.
That second goal in Game 6 was not his fault.
No.
Clear, turnover, breakaway, and
he just stopped a breakaway moments before that.
So you're asking a lot. So I wanted to bring this up, Ron. So in their previous 30 games of game sevens for the Boston Bruins, they're 15-15. So something has to change here. Also, this is the 65th time a team has faced a game seven after being behind 3-1. So Toronto was down 3-1. It's right now 32-32. Something has to give here, right? So think about that. Something's giving here. Either the Boston Bruins, who are 15-15 in game sevens, or 32-32 on this, as this is the 65th game.
Yeah.
The team is trail 3-1. So if I was to ask you, and obviously we're going to pick this game, which team needs to show more? So obviously it's in Boston. Does that benefit the Bruins?
Well, Toronto can play a lot looser, right? They can play a lot looser.
And is Austin Matthews
tight for this game?
Oh, without a doubt. And is Austin Matthews even going to be available?
Yeah, I don't know that yet. I'm assuming he will be.
So I think from a mental standpoint, can they overcome this? Where does it need to come from? Is it Pasternak? Is it Jim Montgomery?
They can come back from this, right? The Bruins are a very resilient team. They can. Will they? I don't know. But it all starts with this. Zacha, no goals, 2 assists, -2. Pasternak, 2 goals, 2 assists, -1. They are not playing well at either end of the ice. Those two is where it starts. It begins and ends with those two guys. If those two guys don't show up, it's over.
And I will say this, Ron, history sometimes isn't your best friend, because if you think about it, if this was like 5 years ago and they lost a 3-1, this was last season.
Yeah.
This is still fresh. A lot of these players were there last year that went through this experience. To your point, if they come out tight, they probably lose this game.
Yeah.
They need to be loose. They need to just let the game play through. They are the better team, technically.
Yeah, they are.
Mentally, they have to be a better team as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But,
and somebody's got to take the reins and get to Pasternak, and Pasternak needs to come out scoring. He needs to come out scoring.
Yeah.
If he doesn't score a goal, the Bruins are losing.
Agreed. Great discussion on the Bruins. We will pick this game later on in our prediction segment. But let's get into this very special guest, Katie Kalicker. She is joining us. She is from Kick It with Katie podcast. Katie, welcome to Sports Unfolded. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So if you could let the fans out there know a little bit about yourself, what's your involvement in the sports realm. I know a lot of soccer background, and if you wanted to discuss that.
Yeah. So I am out of Salt Lake City, Utah, suburb I'm from. I am a former youth soccer player, played soccer as an adult, but nothing like I didn't play collegiately or anything. My husband is a coach, and he's been coaching for over, and naturally I've been by his side while he's been coaching. And then I got into coaching myself, as well as being a parent of 5 kids now that all play soccer. Okay. Being on this so long and knowing different roles of what people do, I've had a lot of questions from parents that I know over the years. And so that's really what made me want to start my podcast. Specifically am targeting parents of youth players, but I also interview people that have gone through youth systems, whether they're players themselves, how they took soccer throughout their lives, whether it was playing, if they've paths that they took, the stories that they have to share with the youth of today and their parents, coaches. I've talked to some referees. I've got a Mother's Day month going right now where I'm interviewing others. the sidelines and different roles that they have in the soccer world of youth soccer, because it's really exploded with youth soccer in the last, I would say, at least 10 to 15 years here in the United States. It's obviously been very prevalent over in Europe for a very long time, in a lot of South American countries. It's just naturally a part of their culture. And so it's really starting to grow a lot more here in the United States, and especially with different leagues that are popping up and questions that people have. I'm trying to be people that they might have about youth sports and youth soccer.
I think it might be because of the USA women soccer. Mia Hamm basically brought, the female soccer team to the light, really. I mean, that revolutionized, especially the female side of the game, and that made maybe the men stop picking up the slack. I don't know, because I haven't really seen results from them, but I think it shined the light a little more on the game.
Yeah, I was actually at the 99 World Cup when the women won the World Cup title. I was there
wow.
in Los Angeles.
Wow.
My mom got tickets through the very first episode of my podcast, but going there and being a part of that experience was absolutely amazing. I still have copies of the tickets, and I have like a little towel from, like, I tucked away in a little box, and it was a great experience. But I think also with technology and the availability of accessing games from overseas, like the EPL, the English Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, all the different leagues that we now have more access to being able to stream and view, where it wasn't as accessible because we were in a different country and the MLS back in the 90s wasn't as prevalent. And so it was really hard to be able to care on the men or women's side at all. And so that has definitely really helped propel the sport in the United States. And, these kids see Messi, they see Ronaldo, they see players that they're now seeing and wanting to become like them and play like them and things. And so it's really fun to see what the kids, are able to watch and learn from and grow from. And, they celebrate it, kids on teams where I caught a game to hear about, what teams that they support. And so it's really fun to be able to see that as well.
So, Katie, let me ask you this question. What's more challenging, coaching or parenting the kids when you're so how do you balance that piece?
So I talk a lot about it on my podcast when I talk to different guests. It's really interesting because my older kids have always seen, and and we think that because our older kids have seen us coach other people, that they can separate us from parent to coach. Whereas my twins that are 8 have only ever seen us coaching, and they haven't necessarily been able to distinguish between the two. And so I coach our twins, and they're actually having a really hard time separating me from mom and coach. So that's been a little bit tricky. But a lot of times and being able to discuss with the kids in the car after a game or something, if they want us to be mom in the moment, or do you want me to be coach in the moment? Like if they're talking about I played bad or whatever, and it's the different responses will definitely depend on what they be. Do you want me to give you my mom response, or do you want me to give you coach response? Because those are going to be two very different answers. And so it's very important for people, especially like, a lot of strict clubs have very strict policies and things, depending on the level of the team, because there could be a conflict of interest or anything. So right now I've coach my kids, my daughters, and they're luckily at younger ages, so it hasn't really been a conflict of interest. The funniest story that I have is one of the parents that her dad for months didn't even know that I was my daughter's mom. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm able to separate that out. He jokes, he's like, you're really nice that you're able to like take her around and stuff. He's like, it took me a while to realize that she was actually your daughter. And so but it is a very fine line to be able to make sure that you separate that out if you're doing it. Making sure that you don't blur those lines, because it's a very tricky role, and you don't want your kids to resent you for anything because you were being too, and that's been the problem with my younger daughters recently, when I've been coaching them, when I've been trying to help correct something that they think I'm getting mad at them, and so they get a little being coached. If they would react the same way to somebody else, I don't know, because I really don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough distinguish of which parent to coach.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your husband, 25 years coaching.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little older. I don't know if you know that, but we've seen athletes change over the course of our time.
Mm-hmm.
Do your husband see a difference on how you coach today versus how you might have coached, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, the game has evolved so much as well that the styles of coaching are very different. The tactics of coaching are very different, and it's an ever evolving game that, trying to incorporate new things and work. And also it depends on the temperament of the kids, because what works for one group of kids might not work for another group of kids. And so I have seen him specifically. I haven't had to do this yet, because I don't think long enough to have to do this, but he tried to coach, similarly to one of his other teams, because the process was working for them. So the older team, the process had worked for them, the formation they were playing, and the way it was coached for them. And then this group that was 2 or 3 years younger, the approach just wasn't working, and there was a huge disconnect. And so he had to change the way that he was coaching this other group of kids, the way that he executed different motivation things, that changed the lineup basically, or the formation that he was using. So, these discussions that we have off the field, and, he's like, I've got to try this. And, I'm kind of a sounding board for him. So I have seen the different evolutions of ways that he teams. And so I know I've known other coaches where, this is the program that we have, and we follow it to a T, and there's no deviation from it. And it doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know the kids and connect with them, so that way you're able to get the best out of each player and make the team the best that they can be. And so that's what I feel like is a sign of a great coach. Obviously, I'm very biased to eat and coaching, but he's just great that he's able to shift and move into different directions that he knows, and he's always looking for new ideas and things that he can incorporate in his coach. I have questions and want to be able to incorporate something new. I go to him and say, hey, do you think something like this would work? And we collaborate and stuff, and he gives me feedback. So it's a really nice working environment that I have a great person that has so much experience that I can ask. So
absolutely. Katie, do you want to tell everybody out there about your podcast? Again, you said you started it because for the parents and in kind of the coaching and that piece. How many episodes have you done? What's the process? How can they follow you and watch your podcast or listen to your podcast?
Yeah. So I host the Kick It with Katie soccer podcast, and it's just me interviewing people involved with youth soccer. So whether it's former players, current players, coaches, dietitians, nutritionists. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm doing like a Mother's Day segment right now for the month of May. My episodes come out weekly, usually midweek, and at Kick It with Katie podcast on all platforms, Apple, Spotify, formerly Google. You can find me on YouTube now, just any podcast platform. You can find me, Kick It with Katie, a soccer podcast, and let people know that there's no straight pathway to whatever your goal is. So if your goal is to play collegiately, I've talked to different coaches and scouts and former collegiate players, and never to get to where they went. There's so many different collegiate options to play in college: D1, D2, D3, JUCO. And so I talk about those different things. Players that have gone to play professionally, whether it's in the United States or abroad over in Europe. I've had players that are playing in Mexico currently. So it's really a great wealth of information of just knowing that there's more options than people think, and that they have to follow a specific path. So many different options now. And now there's, UPSL and USL, NWSL, MLS, MLS Next, Pro, and there's all these different areas that people can go. And I did see that there's just so many different podcasts out there, but a lot of them gear more towards coaches or fans of the sport. And so that was where I was really trying to connect with either players, current players, or their parents, so that they could have access to the information as far as what's available. And I've had a couple of people that I've talked to internationally, and so it's fun to hear the variances of what is happening in other countries. I've talked to somebody that's been in Canada, somebody that's over in Portugal, and how things in the US differ so greatly from other countries so far that I've talked to.
It's really cool. I heard nutritionists. Me and Ron may need one of those at some point. So we may have to listen to that one for sure. Ron, do you have any other questions before I get into our final question?
Well, I just want to know what is the odds for women to really have a league to really flourish? I mean, can that be done, within the next 5 years, maybe, to really be out there? Because I think the women's game is really more popular when it comes to the national team, but it's just like lagging behind, and I really feel like it really needs to be put out there, more frequently, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the NWSL is actually expanding a lot more. So I'm in Utah, and so we have the Utah, and then they got sold when we changed, but they just got brought back. So they just started their I don't know what they're calling it, but their back season, I guess. I'm not sure, but so that started back up in 2020. Teams that are coming out. So I know that they're working on those expanding options. I talked to some friends over at the Megged podcast, and they specifically, Sydney and Abby are hosts of Megged, and they specifically just on the women's game throughout in Europe, and they're from the United States, but they talk about the women's game, and over in Europe, it's definitely expanding a lot more, and the hope that
Right.
it keeps flourishing here in the United States as well with the expansions, is something that we're really hoping for on the women's side, because I know that there's a lot of players who would love to be able to have a professional team to play on, especially like you said, since our women develop, and we don't always want to see our domestic players playing abroad all the time. I would love to be able to see more
Right.
players playing here in the United States that represent our country, but it really just depends on the level of play and what they want to be able to at peak levels. So next, I would say 5 years, we could see it really, really flourishing for sure.
This just sparked something before I ask my final question. WNBA obviously is starting to take off. You see Caitlin Clark and what the success she had in college, and now you're seeing the who's that star that maybe we should be looking for the NWSL that may be that next rising star? Is there somebody that you could think of?
One of my favorite players to watch right now who plays domestically and on the national team is Trinity Rodman. And that is Dennis Rodman's daughter. And so I love watching her and her finesse in the game. So she like to watch. There's I'm trying to think. I'm going blank on. I can look at her face right. I'm looking at her face right now in my mind, and I can't think of her name. But there's a few national teams do play on NWSL teams that are playing domestically that we can see. Carly Lloyd was one of getting more towards the end of her career. But I personally like to watch Trinity Rodman. Rose Lavelle is another great one to watch. But that, like I said, my personal preference right now is for Trinity Rodman. I like her joy in the game. I do have a local shout out. Her name is Brett Zinga, Royals team here in Utah, and she played. She's from Utah. She played at a college, BYU, and then she got drafted to the Utah Royals. So she's kind of a homegrown player is what we like. I think she's a great up-and-coming player, but definitely, lots of talent here in the United States. So,
yeah, outstanding. So, Katie, favorite team? Do you have a favorite team? Is there men's, women's, like a team that you?
So for the men's team, my team is FC Barcelona, and that is
okay.
They're a great team. So regardless of who's been on the team, me and my husband have been supporters. He was a supporter because of him, and we love them. They're great, so we are definitely Barcelona fans. And then we've also we love Pep Guardiola, and he is the coach and manager of Man City right now in England. And so the former coach at FC Barcelona, and then he moved over to England. And then as far as domestically for the men's team and the women's team, I'm just going to bring it home. Salt Lake and the Utah Royals, they're literally down the street from my house. And so I'm
all right.
So it's a great rebuilding that we've had since the new owners bought the teams. And so we're watching it flip on accomplish. We have the RSC here for the youth players, so they do have their own MLS academy that they have that's out near where we live. And so it's really great to see some of the innovation that they're trying to do with our area and our club. What has been done in Europe, they haven't quite fully implemented it the way that they have in Europe, because in Europe they have it down pat, but here they're still trying to work out some of the kinks. But it would be great to be able to see a U.S. academy over in Europe. That would be great.
Really cool. All right, final question, Katie. If you could play with any player ever, who would that player be and why?
Ronaldinho. He's just when he was in his prime, his spunkiness and his creativity with the ball and his skill set, it was just so fun to see, and the joy on his face was able to face. And, unfortunately, he did have a little bit of a downfall where some, we saw many players in multiple sports that had issues with that. But, when he was in his prime and everything, I think he was amazing. So, for sure.
Wow, really cool. Really cool. So I want to thank you, Katie, for joining us tonight on Sports Unfolded. Again, Katie Collicker, Kick It with Katie podcast on all the podcast platforms possible. You've been amazing. Thank you for sharing all of your soccer insights. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me on. Katie. Yep.
All
thank
right,
you.
We'll have you on again. Thank you.
For sure.
Take care.
Thanks.
Take care.
So cool. What a great interview that was. A lot of knowledge there, right? When it comes to soccer, you think about how it's growing in the United States, and you can see
it's really turned a corner.
So
it's blossomed so much, and I know when I mentioned the women's national team, and she turned it and mentioned like the media sources to watch it, and that is really key. I mean, because we weren't able to watch, English Premier League and all of these things.
Yeah, now it's streaming,
very
right?
often.
Yeah, now with the streaming platforms and
now
all the
it's
different ways
everywhere.
we can watch it. Yeah, really cool. So thank you again, Katie. We wish you luck with your podcast as well. Ron, it is NFL time. Let's talk a little NFL football. This story came out just the other day, and we had to talk about it because this is absolute insanity in my mind. Pittsburgh Steelers are in discussions to possibly have Justin Fields as a kick returner for their team this upcoming season. Is this a smart move by the team?
No, this is absurd. It's absurd. It's kind of like, well, you're not going to be our starter, so... but you can return kicks for us. Yay! That's what he wants to hear. You just told him by asking him to maybe try it that he's not starting. That's what you just did. You just said Russell Wilson is your starter.
Yeah, and then think about the injury possibilities. Like, why would you even... I know the kid's fast. I know he's one of the fastest. He had a fast 40 time in the draft and everything that happened. I mean, the only thing I can think of is they're going to do like lateral plays where, again, they're thinking, hey, this kid can throw it across the field. Like, this is just setting yourself up. And what if he does have kick returns and then Russell Wilson has an injury?
Yeah.
Now this throws your whole, theory out of whack, because what do? You take him off kick returns. Does he do both? It just doesn't make sense. They signed Cordell Patterson as well. You think about his kick return ability. This to me shouldn't even been brought up.
No, it's an absurd thing. Look, you have enough players on your roster that you don't need your quarterback, whether he's going to start or be the backup. You don't need him returning kicks. Okay? That's what your young receivers that are trying to become starters, that's their job, or a running back. That's their job. You don't need a quarterback, kick returning. It's just absurd. It makes me laugh just thinking about it.
I don't know, my friend. Pittsburgh, don't do this.
I mean,
absolute
if
joke.
You don't want him as a quarterback, just send him to New England. We'll be more than happy to take him.
I wanted him. Another NFL quick hit, real quick, Ron. OBJ signs with the Miami Dolphins, 1-year deal, $3 million, but it's like $8 million impossible with incentives. Good move, bad move for the Dolphins. Do you like it? What do you think?
I mean, how much is he going to get the ball?
With Waddle and Tyreek.
Right.
I mean, they need a third option.
This could actually blow up in their face.
I mean, I think he's mellowed out a little bit. So
yeah, well, we'll see,
right? Maybe we'll see what happens there. But that quick hit there, if anybody's out there, what do you think? OBJ signing with the Dolphins? Let us know, and we'll talk about it. Ron, I am excited to do this starting five. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's find it.
All right, tonight's starting five, all the quarterbacks that have rushed for over 3,000 yards or more in their career. We have to come up with 5 of them that we would start. You are first this
Oh,
week,
I'm first.
so you get to
It's a
start
good
us
thing
off.
I prepared then, huh?
Yeah, hey, I mean, there's a first for everything. See,
All right. So I guess we start off with our honorable mentions. This was a little difficult to get a starting 5.
really, the 5 was fine. Honorable mention was tough for me.
Well, that's what I mean. I did mean honorable mention. Look, it's a little brutal, but I have Donovan McNabb on my
honorable. Yeah, mine too.
Randall Cunningham on my honorable mention.
Mine too.
And then I had to say, all right, well, who else can I put? Because I like putting 5 players there, right?
Okay.
Well, I have Steve McNair.
I do too. My exact 3. Wow.
And then I looked at the rest of the list and I'm like,
couldn't put him on. There was no.
So I went with 2 guys that could be
Oh.
prominent. And I put Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen on that
Yeah,
list.
just not enough for me, so I didn't want to put
Right.
it in.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
But those are guys that, well, there's 3 guys right there that they can pass up pretty easily, I think.
And I'm going to say right now, I feel a little threatened because I feel like I have to put John Elway on my starting 5 because he's punching me in the face right now every time. It's like, boof, Eric, pick, make sure you put me on. All right, Ron. So at number 5 of your starting 5, who was your quarterback?
My number 5, and you might have him higher, but I put him at number 5, and that is Fran Tarkenton.
Oof. I didn't see that one.
Well, 124 and 109 with 6 ties. Wasn't really. It was good. It's an above 500 record, but I don't think it's really too out there, right? So that's why I kind of slipped him there. His completion percentage was only 57%. I think it should have been better, but he has 47,000 yards, 342 touchdowns, but 266 interceptions. Yes, it's 80 less, but it's still a lot of interceptions. But 9 Pro Bowls, 1 All-Pro, 1 MVP, no Super Bowls, and just a couple of those numbers kind of slid him down the list. I thought he was going to be higher, but he slid down a little.
Yeah, so he is a little higher on my list. I had at 5 Russell Wilson. 115, 72, and 1. Yeah, I like this completion percentage. 43,000 yards, 334 touchdowns, 5,300 rushing, 29 touchdowns, 9 Pro Bowls, 1 championship. The reason why no MVPs, that to me hurt. And then I took Tarkington in the era he played in for the amount of yards he passed for. That was unheard of. So that's why I kind of put him higher on the list, because I think if he played in today's NFL, he would have passed for probably 80,000 yards. Like, I mean, who was throwing for 47,000 yards back then?
He'd also have 400 interceptions.
But then he would have had like 600 touchdowns, 700 touchdowns. So it would have balanced itself. All right. So who did you have at 4, Ron?
Yeah, I'm a little shocked that you had Russell Wilson that low on this list anyway. Because at number 4, I have Steve Young. And look, I mean, 94 and 49, great record, 64.3 completion percentage, 33,000 yards. That just wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, I believe concussions was a problem in his career. And that probably played a lot into it, but 232 touchdowns, 107 interceptions, 7 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pro, 2 MVPs, 3 Super Bowls, and 1 Super Bowl MVP. Now that I'm looking at this list, yeah, he should have been higher.
Okay. I had him at 4. So
Yeah.
we saw that the same. 43 rushing touchdowns, by the way. Highest of all the guys I had on my list. Only Josh Allen out of this group had more.
Yeah, I had Russell Wilson at number 3, and now that I look at it, I think I should have slid Steve Young above.
See, I had Tarkenton at 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
I
think
knew
we
you
just
would have
flip
him in
flop
the top
those
3.
2 guys. But again, all the right things. So 2 and 1. Let's see where we're at, because I think that's where it's going to be key. Your number 2.
My number 2, and I'm stunned that I actually did this, but I put John Elway number 2. I don't think he had enough numbers like number 1 had.
Mm-hmm.
300 touchdowns is 175 less touchdowns. 226 interceptions is 121 more than the number 1. So those numbers were really opposite direction.
And I'm sure you had number 1 almost 10% higher in the completion percentage. Almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is, and he also number 1 had also 8,000 more yards. But I still
counting.
like Elway. I still like Elway.
Agreed. I thought Elway would be number 1 when I did my list, and I agree with you. I went number 1, and I even though we don't like the guy, we got to respect the talent, what he's done.
Yeah. So go ahead and announce number 1.
And it has to be Aaron Rodgers, number 1.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, I mean, you look at his numbers.
Notice
MVPs.
Notice who I left off that.
Yeah, I saw
list there. Yeah,
very good.
I didn't put Aaron
put him
over
in
there.
the little Jets outfit. No.
Yeah, no. Well, we didn't get enough, pictures of him while playing.
Yeah, good call. Could have had him just going down with the Achilles. All right.
True.
All right, that was our starting 5. Good list, though. Some good players. You think about it, 3,000 plus yards.
5 good players there.
Yeah, and again, some of those guys, like you said, honorable mention for you, Josh Allen in Lamar Jackson, very easily could be on this list if they played another 5 to 6 years. They're probably going to have
absolutely.
Ones. And I think Lamar Jackson actually over 5,000 yards rushing already in his career.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So really cool.
He was up there.
Yeah. Let's talk some NBA, my friend. And we're going to stick with this Boston theme tonight. Kristaps Porzingis injury. How does that affect the Boston Celtics playoff run? Does this change your opinion about Boston getting out of the East?
Yeah, kind of.
You should have had like him going like this, and then his wingspan it would have went across both our faces.
Yeah, could have blocked our eyes.
Do you really think so, though? If you think about, look, their next opponent will probably be either Orlando or Cleveland. They play tonight. Cleveland wins tonight. It'd be Cleveland. If not Orlando, if they can win the next 2, it'd be Orlando. Are you worried about them?
Look, I was saying this earlier today, and everything has fit perfectly for the Celtics in this postseason. Bucks were eliminated. Sixers were eliminated. When you look at the talent left over, yes, there are some good teams there. I get it.
Still, right, probably.
But it looks like a clear path to the championship. But there's funny things that happen when these kind of things happen, and you see, oh, well, it's obvious Boston's going to the finals. Well, they still have to play the games. They still have to show up for those games. And, well, here we are talking about an injury.
And I'm not convinced. Listen, Al Horford, very nice player, 37 years old, and he's kind of on the back end of his career. Obviously, his minutes go up. Luke Cornett, who at times looks good, like you could sit back. My concern would be this. He's probably out for this next round completely, Porzingis, which means more minutes for Al Horford, which means later on in the Eastern Conference or the finals themselves, if you need Al Horford, he may have used too many minutes up now earlier in the playoffs. That would be my biggest concern, because now you're talking about the depth of the Boston Celtics, which is probably their strength versus all these other teams. Kristaps Porzingis against Miami, 12.3 points, 5 rebounds, 1.8 assists, but 6 blocks and 5 steals in those games that he played. So again, from a defensive standpoint too, you think about what he means in the middle. Could be trouble. I don't think so yet. I'd be more concerned later on that they may have to use minutes up with Al Horford that they weren't accounting for.
Well, I'd probably be more concerned about the winner of the series coming up with New York and oh my God, Indiana.
Yeah, and they lost to Indiana in the play-in tournament.
Right. So I'm a little more concerned about that. And let's be honest, they lost a couple of games to Orlando as well. So
yeah.
Now, if I don't think Orlando is going to come back. I think Cleveland is going to take care of business. I think they're a little bit better of a team, but I'd be more concerned about the Knicks and Pacers.
All right. Another quick hit, real quick. Darvin Ham fired by the Lakers. Like the move? Don't like the move?
I don't know. I think they're just trying to find a scapegoat somewhere. I mean, what did you want the man to do?
It's LeBron's
what did you want him to do? It's not him running the team.
LeBron's team.
It's LeBron's team.
And this is a guy LeBron wanted.
Right.
2 years, done. What do we do? I don't know. Listen, I think you got the short end of the stick on that one. That's my opinion.
Yeah, of course you did.
You're dealing with a team that's not built well. They're really not.
No.
D'Angelo Russell's your third best player. You're in trouble.
Yeah, and you know what's coming during the offseason, right?
And your best player is 40 years old. Go ahead.
Whoever drafts Bronny,
he's going.
There's a trade coming to follow it.
And somebody's gonna, what's gonna happen with that, Ron? Somebody's gonna go and they're gonna, it's gonna be almost like the NFL draft in grabbing Michael Penix Jr. Just gonna be something stupid that somebody's gonna do because they're like, oh, we're gonna draft Bronny like in the third, fourth pick just because we'll get LeBron with them.
Exactly.
Like it's
That's exactly what they're
LeBron's gonna end up on the Washington Wizards. That's what's gonna happen.
And I'd be fine with that.
Jeez, man. But you know what? Forget it. All right, Ron, let's talk some Major League Baseball. We got a lot of injuries tonight we're talking about. Porzingis about to give him a shoulder. Mike Trout suffered another injury. He's going to miss some time with the Angels. They're saying 4 to 6 weeks, possibly. Do you still have him as one of your top players in Major League Baseball?
No. No.
All right, and we're done. All right, move on.
No, but I mean, like, you gotta stay in the lineup to be that, right? You gotta stay in the lineup. Guy hasn't played a full season. I don't even remember. Like we make
2017.
A lot of these NBA players that don't play, right?
Yeah.
This is the poster child of injured lists.
Ron, 2017, he missed 47 games with a thumb injury. 2021, 139 games with a calf. 2022, 35 games with the back.
So he was out with his pet calf?
Yes. Yes. So clever. Yeah. He was just moving around. 2022, 35 games with his back. 2023, 89 games with his hand. Now 2024, a knee injury.
He was out with his hand, all right.
But so you start to look at it. I mean, the most game he's played in a season, it's been 5 years, 134 games in 2019.
Right.
I don't know. Does this affect his Hall of Fame status, Ron?
It could. It could.
Does it affect his Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame status?
Oh, that definitely will.
Huh? I see how I threw that in. Listen, his career numbers are phenomenal, but I think it's gonna start to hurt him. Only 1,648 hits so far in his career. He needs to get that up to 2,000, 2,500 to even be considered, in my eyes, for the Hall of Fame. Ron, we have some voting right now that has come out First of all, let's announce the new winners and the new nominees to the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. Muhammad Ali, congratulations. What a great honor
First boxer on the list.
What happened?
First boxer on the list.
First boxer on the list. And our second nominee that has now been elected to the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame, Jim Brown.
Yeah,
what a great honor.
Deservedly so.
So 2 great athletes, Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, on our Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame.
The one that Muhammad Ali won was not easy.
Yeah, Michael Phelps and him were neck and neck for a bit. The fans out there, you vote to get these athletes on this list of the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. Check us out, Sports Unfolded Sports Poll page.
Speed skater Bonnie Blair on there, who I believe won 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah, it is up there now. And we have some new voting that just opened today. The polls are up. We have for the NBA, our next set of nominees. Ron's going to bring those up for you. Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Oscar Robertson, Kobe Bryant. One of those 5 will be in the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame.
I'd like to see Oscar Robertson get in there.
It is. Polls are already up. Vote now. Get your votes in. Make sure that you help us select our next inductee into the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. And then, brand new, we're bringing it, the WNBA Hall of Fame for the Sports Unfolded. And the first candidates to be nominated, to be inducted, will be Cynthia Cooper, Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, and Sue Bird. You have the opportunity to vote one of those fine females into our Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. Get on that Sports Unfolded Sports Poll page and vote. Let us know, and we will close those polls out by Friday next week and announce our winners. So good luck to all of our nominees for the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. So excited. All right, Ron, it is time for split decisions. Get a little funk going. You feel like you gotta move when you hear it every time.
You do, huh?
Our split decision, basically, we're going to give each other more likely scenarios, and we have to make a decision. Which way and direction are we going to go? Ron, you are first this fine evening. What is your first split decision?
Okay, I had to bring this in. Who is more likely to beat the Boston Celtics in the playoffs? Is it Orlando Magic, Cleveland Cavaliers, New York Knicks, or Indiana Pacers? Because we all know they're going to choke at some point. Who's it going to be?
I'm going to say none because they're not choking this year. They're winning it all. Now, I would say Indiana. I think Indiana would give them more trouble. Miles Turner has played extremely well. And then Halliburton he's a special player that can cause some problems. And he's not even that. He's their 3rd best scorer right now. So a lot going on there when it comes to Indiana. I would be more afraid of them. Plus what they did to us in the play-in tournament, when you figured that would be a pressure situation, they handled Boston with ease.
Yeah,
so
they did.
They would make me nervous. All right, Ron, my first split decision. Is
They
it more
handled their first series too, pretty easily.
Is it more likely that Drake May starts the Patriots' first game of the season, starts by the middle of the season, or does not see the field at all this season?
Starts by the middle.
So you think they go, let's say 2-6, he's in?
More like 0-4, and they're
0-4. Right at the beginning. All right.
So
you don't see him starting at all.
Not very good.
Not a starter. He's not starting game 1.
Not game 1.
Week 1. All right. Interesting.
He might come in all of those first 4 games.
Come on, Jacoby Brissett, baby. Bring it.
Yeah.
All right. Your second split decision, Ron.
Okay. Here it comes.
Dun, 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 dun.
If the Bruins choke in Game 7,
I knew that was going to be a Bruins one. I knew it. Yeah.
who is more likely to be blamed? Remember, who's more likely to be blamed?
Blamed.
The combo of Don Sweeney and Cam Neely,
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery,
Mm-hmm.
goaltending,
Definitely not.
or David Pasternak?
This is a tough one for one reason. I don't think you blame Cam Neely, Don Sweeney, because they've put two solid teams together. If you think about it, Boston, finished second best record this season,
first, but that goes without saying.
And the best record last season in NHL history. Like, they're putting teams together. So you could see it either being Pasternak, depending on how Game 7 goes, or Montgomery, based on the fact that his team would choke 2 years in a row with 3-1. If I had to say, I think it weighs more on how Pasternak plays in Game 7. So I'm going to say Jim Montgomery's more likely to be blamed if they lose, because I feel like Pasternak's going to play a good game. Might not be a great game, but good enough that people say, hey, look, they should have won this. The coaching let them down in Games 5 and 6.
Okay.
So I would go Montgomery. But that's a very good question. Outstanding question. Definitely not goaltending, without a doubt.
What I'm going to be trying to answer tomorrow.
No, we're not going to talk. Come on, they're winning it. All right, Ron. With the Phoenix Suns getting swept in the first round by the Minnesota Timberwolves, is it more likely that the Phoenix Suns bring back all three players, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, trade one of them, or trade two of them?
I don't think they're gonna return all three. I think Kevin Durant is gone.
So one of them will be gone.
Yeah.
So they keep Beal and they keep Booker. Kevin Durant walks, which has kind of been talked about. So
yeah, I think Kevin Durant is going to be 0-2 for his team building skills.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Let's talk some NHL. We'll get this in real quick. I know we're on a time crunch. We got about 30 minutes left. So let's get at least this series is by far probably going to be one of the most interesting NHL series. Your thoughts on the round 2 matchup between the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes?
No, this is going to be a dandy of a series. I can look at these rosters and come up with
high stick. High stick.
You like that, huh?
That's a high stick.
I needed to make them a little bigger.
Listen, both these teams have been on fire.
I could give a reason why both teams could win. I mean, it's that good. But there's a gentleman right in the middle there, right below your chin. Yeah, that guy is
on fire.
Outstanding.
1.75
save percentage, 1.75. Only one guy has been better.
Swayman.
Hard to believe that he's not even.
Think about that.
But that is the reason. And I think overall, the depth actually is better in New York. You know, you have Zibanejad with 7 points, and you have Seth Jarvis in Carolina with 7 points. But then the next guy down is Trocheck with 6, and then Svechnikov with 5 points. But Svechnikov is a -2. And frankly, I'm not sold on Anderson because he doesn't do well in the playoffs. And I know he's 4-1 right now, but they had the Islanders. Let's be truthful.
Yeah. And that's what I say. You think about the competition. And then even with, you say New York, Panarin and some of those guys that are their stars haven't really performed.
Not yet.
So think about that, right? There's a lot going on. New York should be excited about this.
The ace in the hole, Fox at the point. Oh my God, he's such a great.
Wouldn't it be a fox in a hole?
Fox in a hole. Yeah, see that?
I mean, see how that works?
Foxhole.
There we go, baby. All right, Ron. Check out NHL playoffs. Outstanding. I'm
going to take the Rangers, by the way.
What a great. I mean, NHL playoff hockey is by far some of the most intense. And again, we get to live it again tomorrow, Ron. Tomorrow night, Bruins. So
Yeah. If you don't hear from me, you know what happened. I probably
yeah,
died.
we jumped off the TD TD North TD Garden. All right, Ron, it is time for pick and roll.
The Tobin Bridge, maybe.
It's time for pick and roll.
Our pick and roll segment. Basically, we come up with a category, we pick them, and then we got to roll with them. It is episode 18 of season 4. I don't know why it says 3 on there, but season 4.
Does it say 3?
Somebody doesn't want to, fish out of water. Out of water. All these players had 18 sacks twice in their career in a season. TJ Watt, Robert Quinn, JJ Watt, DeMarcus Ware, Michael Strahan, and Mark Gastineau. We are going to rank them from 6 to 1. You are first, Ron. You got to pick them, roll with them, and then I will give you my 6.
Yeah. Somehow I feel these might be the same. Maybe. I don't know.
It happens every so often.
All right. So number 6, I have Robert Quinn. 169 games, 102 sacks, 286 solo tackles, 32 forced fumbles. He even had a touchdown. 3 Pro Bowls, 1 All-Pro, and 1 Defensive Player of the Year. Those accolades were probably the lowest out of all the players. I'm a good player, though. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
These are solid players.
They're all very good players.
But I had him at number 6, just wasn't enough. And I got to say, number 5 is not enough because they didn't really keep the stats back then, right? So Mark Gastineau.
Yep, agreed.
137 games, 107 sacks. Going by those sack numbers, it just wasn't good enough. Even though he did have more than Quinn and TJ Watt, but I did not put him above TJ Watt. No touchdowns and 5 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pro, and 1 Defensive Player of the Year. I like those numbers.
Yeah,
those numbers are nice.
He was. I remember him playing against the Pats.
Yeah,
he was a very, very good player.
Oh, he was a good player, and I wish that they would have kept these numbers back then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Number 4, I have TJ Watt. Even though his sack totals are a little less than Gastineau, but everything else looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he could even be higher on this list if we did this next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's due for another 14, 15 sacks.
So 96.5 sacks, 291 solo tackles, 27 forced fumbles, 7 interceptions, most on the list.
Yep.
1 touchdown. And I remember that touchdown. I was like, wait, didn't he score a touchdown last year? And it was last year on a fumble recovery. 6 Pro Bowls, 4-time All-Pro, and 1 Defensive Player of the Year. I don't see him winning a championship as long as he stays in Pittsburgh.
No shot to Pittsburgh fans out there.
It's a shot.
Christmas card lost, my friend.
It's a shot.
All right, 3.
Number 3, I have JJ Watt. 151 games played.
Say what?
Yeah, exactly. 114 and a half sacks, 449 solo tackles, 27 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 5 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pro, 3 Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm like, wow, there's no way anybody's going to be better than that. Number 2, I have DeMarcus Ware, James. Where are you, James? DeMarcus Ware, number 2, 178 games played, 138 and a half sacks, 505 total solo tackles, 35 forced fumbles. These numbers are all better than J.J. Watt's. 3 interceptions, also better than J.J. Watt. 3 touchdowns, 9 Pro Bowls, almost double J.J. Watt, 4 All-Pro, and a Super Bowl ring that J.J. Watt does not have.
Mhm.
And to my surprise, well, not really a surprise once I looked at the names, Michael Strahan I have number 1, and it still hurts. It still hurts. It
Good
cuts
morning,
deep.
America.
Right. 141 141 and a half sacks. And here's the scary number, 666
Yeah, but
solo tackles,
spooked. Little spooked.
24 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions, more than most of them, except for TJ Watt. 3 touchdowns also. 7 Pro Bowls, 4 All-Pro, 1 Defensive Player of the Year, and a Super Bowl. The difference was that Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Number 1, Michael Strahan.
We had the exact same list. You are correct. I will say this, to your point, I wish they had made stats, all these stats. So Robert Quinn, 6, 5 Gastineau, TJ Watt, 4. I had looked at one stat that you didn't mention. So JJ Watt at 3, 317 quarterback hits. Imagine being hit by that man. And not only, but he did it to 317 times to a quarterback.
Ugh.
Like, I mean, the man was just brutal. DeMarcus Ware, again, like you said, at 2 because of that championship. And then Michael Strahan, just his numbers overall. And I think he's tied for the all-time sack in a season with 22 or 22 and a half, whatever it was. So
he was so good.
He really was. We don't give him enough credit because we're Patriot fans, but he was a very good player. Very good player. All right, Ron. Great list, though. Pick and roll.
That was a great list. Those are great players.
If you are joining us live, make sure you chime in right now. We're going to our prediction segment. If you are listening to us on WDJY 99.1 FM in Dallas, Georgia, join us every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on all our social media platforms. We are live and interactive. Like, share, and follow our show as much as possible. Check out Rhode Island Broadcasting, all great shows, movies, music. They've got a little bit of everything there as well. So check them out. And then make sure you follow Sports Unfolded on all the social media platforms. We are everywhere and we continue to grow. Great interview today. So we dive into anything and everything that we possibly can. Ron, prediction time. If you want to bring that chart up. Solid week last week. You top 5 driver. I had a top 5 driver as well, but your guy finished second, just missing the cut for the 2 wins. And my guy finished 5th. So we had 2 top 5 drivers last week in the NASCAR piece as well. James coming in at 500, sticking with his 50% on the season at 3-3. Hopefully he's still with us.
Well, he's one game over 500.
Yeah, it's law of averages, buddy. He's 50%.
It's like 501.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's clanging right now. All right, Ron. So we start off in the NBA, the association. Tonight, you got the Los Angeles Clippers at the Dallas Mavericks, Game 6. Who do you have? Love to see a pretty face while you say it, by the way. You are a handsome man.
Well, I don't know if I want to take that thing down now.
There we go. Look at that handsome fella.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I am going to go Luka Magic and the Dallas Mavs. They're going to take game 1 at home. They are not losing the opening game.
Yeah, and listen, Clippers right now, no Kawhi Leonard again. They looked a mess in Game 5.
Again, injury.
Game 5 looked a mess. I'm going Dallas as well. I just feel like they played so well. 5-4 tomorrow night. You got the second round matchup. Minnesota Timberwolves at the Denver Nuggets. Game 1. This is going to be a very fun series. Anthony Edwards is at 22 years old, already starting to take over the NBA. But I'm going Denver here. I'm going the veterans. I'm going with the experience, and they're at home. I went Denver.
Yeah, I'm going Denver too. Look, they're the defending champions, right? I'm not I'm not thinking that Minnesota is going to go waltzing in there and just smack them around. It's Denver's going to be all business, and they're going to take that game.
All right, I agree. Tonight as well, NHL action. Dallas Stars at the Vegas Golden Knights, Game 6. This could be a end of a championship run here for Vegas. Dallas up 3-2.
I think it's going to happen. I think Vegas got those first 2 games in Dallas, and since then they haven't even been the same. Dallas decided to start playing in Game 3, and I don't think they're going to look back. I think they get the job done, and they take the series.
All right. I disagree with you. I think the championship pedigree, I don't think they win this series. I still think Dallas wins it, but I think they take Game 6 tonight at home. Tomorrow night, Ron, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Boston Bruins, Game 7, winner take all.
So this is the one you owe.
I'm
not gonna do this.
No. I picked Toronto.
I also have Toronto. I'm just going to use reverse psychology.
That's what I'm thinking.
Toronto,
right?
With the thought that the Bruins will win because of it.
They're going to hear this. The boss of David Pasternak's probably watching Sports Unfolded right now, and he's going, I'm not letting these guys be right. That's what's going to happen.
That's right.
Jim Montgomery pregame is going to.
I shaved off the playoff beard.
Jim Montgomery in the locker room, Ron, right before the game. You know what he's going to do? He's going to play this segment, and he's going to say, these guys don't believe in you. That's going to fire them up. They're going to win, and we'll take the L. I don't
believe in them.
We'll take the L. We'll take the L. All right, Ron.
Look, they're going to have Ray Bork come in and say, see, Pasternak, you're going to have to get traded to win a cup because you can't get up for a game.
Easy, buddy. Calm down. It's all right, buddy. We'll get through. 5-6. You know we're going to be right on that game, too. We don't want to be, but that'll be the game. We could get all the rest wrong. We'll get that one right. 5-6. You've got the Detroit Tigers at the Cleveland Guardians. 3-game series. This could be for first place in the Central. Who do you got?
Cleveland.
I went Cleveland as well. Pretty easy, right? I think they're much better team. Cleveland's a very good team this year. Francona's still over there, right? That guy, he's a good coach.
No,
is he not?
retire?
Did he retire? You got a little Francona in you. You look like Francona when you're all shaved like that. You got a lot of Francona in you. That doesn't sound right.
Can I get paid? Can I get paid like Francona?
I don't know. Someday when this show takes off, Ron, yes, you will be. MLS action. Had our interview with Katie today. What a great interview for some soccer. Tomorrow, you've got the New York Red Bulls at Inter Miami Football Club.
I'm taking Messi.
It's getting messy.
I'm taking Messi.
Okay. I agree with you. I went Messi as well.
As long as he's on that team, I'm taking them.
All right. Tomorrow, no, Sunday. Sorry about that. On 5-5, you got Advent Health 400 in Kansas. We need a top 5 driver, Ron. I'm going Kyle Larson here. He's run this very, very well.
Yes, he has. And now I also have Kyle Larson right there. It's backwards, though.
I see it. So we're even on that one. All right. And then we've got a big fight tomorrow. Super middleweight title, I believe.
I can't wait for this one.
Canelo Alvarez versus Jamie Mongoya. 2 Mexican fighters. The first time in boxing history that Mexican.
Is there an OY in there?
Munguia, I think. Maybe you might be right. It's a title fight, Ron. Who wins this? A lot of bad blood here. The Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez. It's, the Golden Boy promotions. They really don't like each other now. I don't know if you've seen any of the press conferences.
Yeah, it's going to be Canelo. It's going to be Canelo. He's going to use all of that anger and just dismantle this guy.
Yeah, listen, It's going to be a good fight, though. I think it's going to be a Mexican fighters predominantly are pretty tough, so it should be a good match. Should be a really good match. That is our prediction segment. Again, if you want, join us live at any given point. If you're joining us live during our prediction segment, give us your picks. Let us know.
They're
We'll put
good
you on a
movers
prediction
too.
track. And is that because George Lopez? You see the show? Very good, Ron. I
No,
like
because when they clean the house, it's fabuloso.
it. Dude, just give it up.
That stuff cleans everything.
It is super good. My wife did a hack the other day. You put it in the toilet. You put holes in the bottle, and then you put it in the tank. And every time you flush, you get Fabuloso that comes out with the water, and
Wait
it
a
makes.
minute. So do you put it on the top of the thing?
Take the tank cover off. Put it in the tank. Couple of little holes on the top. And then the water fills it, and it lets out Fabuloso. So when you flush, you get a nice fresh scent. It smells amazing. It smells amazing.
There
Really
we
good.
go. See, we're more than sports.
We do it all. We do it all here at Sports Unfolded. Ron,
All we need now is a lawyer to come on the show, and we can talk law.
it's out there. I will say this, Ron. Great show today. Want to thank Katie Cowlicker. For just listen, you know I'm horrible with names sometimes.
I know.
Katie,
That's why I was enjoying you trying to struggle with these names.
Katie Cowlicker, what a great show. Kick It with Katie, her podcast, phenomenal guest. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Check her out. I mean, she's got a great soccer mind. The whole family. I mean, you think about that whole family and what they're doing in the soccer, world. It's amazing. Ron, we also would like to get somebody's name on our banners up here and get a sponsor. Can you tell all the wonderful people out there how they can do that before we get into our final thoughts?
I don't know if you want my final thoughts, but yes, you can easily get all the information you need by sending us an email to this address right there, ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. We can send you out all the information. But Eric, like I say every week, it's so simple that it costs less than going to your local coffee shop for a large coffee and a cinnamon roll.
Say what?
It costs less than that.
Amazing. Let's get a sponsor on here. Sports Unfolded. Hundreds of thousands of ears, eyes on your business every week. We are now on the radio, WDJY 99.1 FM in Georgia, Dallas, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. So very good market there. Get your business heard. If you want to be seen as well, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, we're on all of it, live, interactive. And then again, donate Stars Bits as well. That helps our show continue to grow. Buy me a coffee, another opportunity to donate to our show. So we'd appreciate any support we can get to continue to help us grow and continue to do these wonderful things that we do. Ron, it is final thoughts time. And our final thoughts don't necessarily have to be about anything sports related. Be about anything going on in the world today. What's on your mind, Ron? What's your final thought?
Well, gee, let me think, Eric. What could I possibly be wanting to talk about?
I want to do the emoji right now. Can I get the emoji guy come up?
Yeah, exactly. Could it be that I'm so angry at the way that...
How angry are you? Oh, no, that was...
I'm about ready to sign off of all sports at this point.
Well, there goes our show. First sponsor of the show. Let's get a sponsor.
And then Ron leaves.
Yeah, Ron, go on.
But no, I'm so sick of it. It's like after enduring the last couple of years of the Patriots, right? I mean, that has taken its toll. Like, look.
He had hair when we started.
I did. And then you throw in the Red Sox, who...
They're in third place, though. You got to admit them.
I don't care. That's fake. It's fake.
They're not horrible.
Fake.
They could have been worse.
They are worse. They're just getting lucky with their schedule at this point.
Okay. All right.
It's really tough getting up for a Pittsburgh Pirate game. No offense, Pittsburgh.
Man, you just bashing everyone today.
So there's 2 cards today. Look, and now, now we have to deal with another collapse of the Boston Bruins. If they don't win tomorrow, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it because when they do choke tomorrow and they are bounced out of the playoffs to a team that they've owned for the last 5, 6, 7 years, however long it's been, then we're gonna have to wonder when the collapse is of the Boston Celtics, who has a clear path to the championship. And if they lose, that's right, you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it, and I'm telling you, don't choke tomorrow. Don't choke.
Don't choke. All right, Ron. I've got a few, so please forgive me during all of this.
Wait a minute. What is this?
It's gone from 1, 2 thoughts, but I have to. I think we may start a new segment called Ask Clowns because I have to discuss this one. One Mr. Patrick Beverly. I'm not sure you got to see what this individual did last night in the game-clinching loss where he throws a ball at a fan and hit her in the head. Class. Top class. So I'm saying in the heat of the moment, maybe you were angry. Okay, I'm going to give you one that I shouldn't. Then secondly, post-game interview, female reporter, a producer trying to get the audio sound. He asked her to get out of the circle because she doesn't subscribe to his podcast and refused to talk to her because she doesn't subscribe to his podcast. You're an ass clown. Absolute joke of an individual.
Yeah, I didn't know about that one.
Just a complete piece of garbage. Okay? The league needs to ban him. I don't care if he apologized to her. The Bucks apologized. Should have never happened. Listen, your podcast is no better than anybody else's. Definitely not better than ours. So shut your mouth and take any interview you can get. Because you know what? You're lucky you're even in the league. So shut up and just.
This is true. All true.
Right? Shut up and just, be humble. And then throwing a ball at somebody's face. What is wrong with you?
Well, there has to be some consequences for that.
Just absolutely. What? No, he doesn't play anyway. Garbage. Second one. How do the rich get richer, Ron? So I don't know if you heard this story. Roger Goodell now is trying to make the league 18 games with 2 preseason games, which would push the Super Bowl a week later, which would actually become President's Day weekend. So now on Sunday night, most people wouldn't have to go to work on Monday because it'd be a national holiday. He is trying to spin this as you will now have the opportunity to enjoy the Super Bowl in probably your adult beverages a lot more because there will be no work the next day. He's been trying to make the Super Bowl a holiday for as long as he's been the commissioner of the NFL. And it may happen now. He may figure a way to do it. He's going to use a national holiday to make it seem like it's for the Super Bowl. Insane. What a great strategy. That's how the rich get richer.
Yeah, but I kind of like that.
Right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, it makes sense. It's going to work. He's going to get it done. And then it's just going to put more money into the NFL. Because now people will say, oh, I don't have to worry about work tomorrow. I don't have to go, right? It's a holiday. Right? They say more call-outs happen, I think, the day after the Super Bowl than any other time of the year.
Probably.
Right? So now you won't have that problem. Insane. What a great philosophy by the NFL. Good luck with that one. And we get one more regular season game. And then lastly, just a personal thing. I want to congratulate my stepson, Eddie. He just finished his boot camp with the Navy, graduated. He's going and getting stationed in Maryland. Very proud of him. Just wanted to say, great job. Continue to follow your dreams. What a great thing that he wanted to do in his life. And now he's helping defend our country. So thank you, Eddie, for what you've done.
Yeah,
and
thank
congratulations.
you for that. But you should take him out for a spaghetti dinner.
He's not here. He's actually they're in where are they? Chicago. They're in Chicago now. And then he's going and stationed in Maryland. So, yeah, there you go. You should join. I'm sure you could run. What would your fitness?
That went over your head.
Eddie
Spaghetti.
You're so good. You are on fire today, buddy. I just can't keep up with you. You are just quick. The wit has just been like, holy cow! What a job this guy has done. I want to thank everybody.
I do like the fact that he served and defended this wonderful nation.
And now Super Bowl holiday coming as well. All right. Ron, I want to thank everybody that's joined us live tonight. James, you've been amazing. Katie, Cal Liquor, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm close enough. I'm just going to say Katie, because you know what? Kick It with Katie podcast. Check her out. Great job tonight. So much soccer insight. We appreciate her taking her time.
And it broke grounds on Sports Unfolded.
It did. It did. First female appearance we've had on Sports Unfolded. So thank you for that. We're excited about that as well. So cool. So check her podcast out. Great out in Utah. Talked a lot about, what they're doing out there with the MLS. It's really cool as well. Want to thank everybody that's going to join us afterwards. Like, share, follow our show. Let us know what you think. Comment. Make sure that you share it and follow us on our social media platforms. Help us grow. Donate stars, bits. Buy me a coffee. So many different ways. Sponsor our show. Get hundreds of thousands of ears and eyes on your business every single week. Take that time. We are live every Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rhode Island Broadcasting, the best sports podcast on the planet, Sports Unfolded, signing off tonight. And all we have asked for every single show is that we get peace on earth.
Have a great night, everybody.